Elijah, pronouns he, him, calling in from tall xenophobes. What? From Texas, who says that objective morality proves that God exists. Elijah, you are on the line. How are you doing today?
Oh, well, now that I get to smoke my pipe after work, I'm much more pleasant mood.
Sounds nice. Okay, so
Yes.
this is what I've got here is objective morality proves that God exists. What's up with that? Like, build on that, because we kind of just talked about that for a minute,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like maybe there's some
So,
context.
yeah, so in the spirit of gentleness, real quick, Brian jammed himself by making one claim and then trying to outpete himself on another front. So you said something that caught my interest. So I'm dating a black woman, right? And so my great grandfather, well, actually two greats, who fought in the Confederacy, would not have approved of such a thing. And so I would say, and he would probably say he was a good person. Now you said, why don't we all make our own morality and be decent people? So I would ask, what is your basis for decency? How do you define what's decent, what's not?
Oh, Forrest, I think you're muted.
Fuck, sorry. I was muted for a while.
You're fine.
Yeah. So I actually do have a more or less objective standard for morality, which is like human well-being.
Right.
And I can extend that to like well-being of like all conscious creatures. There's
Right.
no way to be immoral to a rock, but you can use a rock for immoral purposes. You know what I mean? And so
I would concur 100%.
Yeah, so like I know what like it takes to hurt a person and to make a person happy.
Right.
I know what it feels like to be happy or sad. I also understand that I'm not the only person in the room, and I'm certainly not the most important one. I'm very much a nihilist, and so I don't think that my life is that special. And so for me, I base a lot of my moral thinking into. Well, that's kind of you, but I really I don't think that I'm special at all, and so I base a lot of my morality in taking myself off of a pedestal and saying, okay, everybody else around me is a thinking, cognitive person, and I don't want to make them sad.
Right.
And so if I shoot somebody, they're not going to be happy. It's going to hurt their body. It's going to hurt their mind. It's going to hurt their family. It's going to hurt a lot of people. And I have no right to do such a thing. So therefore, murder's off the table. You know what I mean?
Well, so let me ask this then. So I'm a huge World War II buff, by the way, just as a segue into this. And I'm also a huge fan of Japanese culture. So, for example, Japan's actions in World War II, I don't know if this word will get you canceled, so apologize if YouTube demonetizes this. But they raped and pillaged and murdered their way.
About it.
Yeah.
Oh, rape.
Yeah,
okay, you can talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so ready for you to drop a racial slur and for me to drop you the call.
Oh, no. Oh, no,
the hell to set up. Go on.
My future wife, my future wife would not be pleased. So I say that. So they raped and pillaged their murder all through China, right? We all know about the Neptune massacre. So in their culture, their emperor was the incarnation of what they believe was the sun god, and all things done in the advancement of the empire and the emperor was a good thing. They would say that they are decent people because they have honor and they are doing what's right. Now, you and I obviously would disagree with such a sentiment, but they would say, I am putting myself aside in the interest of someone besides myself, and this is a good thing. I'm building the empire the way I've been dictated to. You would disagree. And I'm saying, why should I believe your opinion over Mr. Tojo? Like, what gives you the moral ground to condemn Tojo? Because he would say,
so the difference,
in my world,
significant difference there.
He would say, in my worldview, I'm a good person.
So the difference here is that these Japanese nationalists who are butchering their way across China have a very clear us versus them morality, where everybody within my ethnic group is the actual humans and everybody outside of it isn't. You can relate that back to just about any other genocide throughout history. Is that when you set people apart into different groups and say these are the important ones, those aren't.
Can understand that. Oh no,
Yeah,
I was saying
exactly.
my but I'm asking though, if you even if we say, why don't we build our own morality? I have no grounds to condemn Mr. Kojo because he did exactly that.
Well, what was I saying? You can build a morality and still do it wrong. I'm not saying that every morality
Okay.
is equal. I'm saying that you don't need the Bible to build a good morality. That was the point of the last
Yeah,
call.
I'm more
So
interested in what it said in the call notes that you are saying objective morality proves God. So like
Right.
let's move on from all these different examples. Hopefully in general we're going to end up agreeing on a lot of what's moral and immoral and um but
Hmm.
my
Probably not.
what I'm
Me.
what I'm wanting to ask you is so let's go
Mhm.
with you agreed. Let's go with Forrest's example that objective morality we can say that harming a human is just objectively wrong, causing harm to other people.
No,
Things
no.
get dicey because sometimes you have to
Depending.
harm somebody in order to save other
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Right, of
Right.
course. So that's where I'm
Yeah,
gonna agree with
yeah.
you on that, which there has to be
Okay.
nuance to it, which is why I can't get fully on board this whole, like, super objective thing. But my question is,
right.
how does that
Right.
prove a God?
Right. Well, because if you admit yourself that your standard, then you can't hold me to your standard because it's your standard.
Say
Plain
that
and
again?
simple. If you admit your standard is your standard, you cannot hold me accountable to it because it's yours. It belongs to you, but it's not imposed upon me. Now, you can
But I'm
tell me,
asking
I think this will be really good, but
but how
I
does
don't
that prove a
believe you
God?
can impose because you're
Because
admitting
I
that your
agree,
worldview is arbitrary.
people get away with harming other people all the time. Um,
Okay, but what makes
I'm
that
not
wrong?
sure how
What are you
that
rooting that
proves
in?
what was that?
What are you rooting that idea in? What's the basis, the foundation? Is what I'm trying to say.
The foundation
Human
of
health and
what?
well-being.
That people are harmed and other people get
No,
away with
no, I'm
harming
saying
them?
no. I'm saying I agree it's wrong to harm people, but I'm saying why is it wrong to harm people? I have a reason, but you're saying I believe it's wrong to harm people, therefore it is. And my whole point was Empire of Japan didn't see it that way. You're disagreeing, so why should I side with you over and against them?
So it sounds like you're asking what is the objective standard by which I can base the statement that it's wrong to hurt a person, and I already answered that. It's human health and well being. Now, of course, as Eve pointed out, there is nuance there. If I see somebody trying to hurt somebody else, I might hurt that person
Right,
to stop them from hurting other people. If someone's trying to kill me, I'm gonna kill them first.
right,
And so, like
right,
that's there's a little wiggle room in there, but overall, because
right.
there's no absolute black and white pretty much anywhere. But more often than not,
Except
I can
except
say,
for what you decide. Except for what you decide,
well,
though, right?
not really. I can like I can say that there are certain times where you kind of walk in a gray area and what you're doing is morally ambiguous and like you're doing a maybe a bad thing for a good
Okay,
reason or
so
a good reason thing for a
so then
bad
let me ask
reason.
this
Um,
question then. Then let me ask this question then. That morally gray area, would you
yeah.
say then the United States wiping out two to 300,000 innocent people in the for the end goal of ending that war? Would you say that it's morally a acceptable thing to kill innocent people if it's in the service of the greater good?
No,
Because
but
okay,
this isn't a
so
call about
then
But
politics, is
here's
it?
the yeah, here's the
no, no,
problem. I
I'm
think
not. I'm not disagreeing, but
we're getting off track.
I,
So I'm trying to understand because we could talk about morality for like hours and hours and hours, and the three of us are each going
right,
to
but
probably have
which
very
you
different views. But Elijah,
right,
what I'm
which
asking is if I can finish my sentence. What I'm asking you
all right,
is how does objective morality, if that exists, how does that prove a
right.
God? Because that's what
Well,
you said.
because we have if we're admitting that our standards can be wrong, we have to root it in something outside of ourselves that's objective.
I think we're just
Lest we all
admitting that
be
sometimes
arbitrary.
there can be a lesser wanted outcome. And we kind of agree as a society what those outcomes are that we want or don't want. Which is
So
why
does
in some
society decide
societies
what's right or wrong?
women get to walk around without any clothes on and it's perceived as being totally fine. It's not a big deal. And then in
All
some
right.
places that would be considered uh maybe a wrong thing to do. So
Right.
I'm trying to
So
understand how, like,
does
without getting into
society
the
decide
weeds,
that?
of morality, I'm asking you, how do we
Right.
prove a God based on objective
Right.
morality?
Because you are presupposing his standard by saying this is right and this is wrong, but you admit
No, you
yourself
are
that
presupposing the
even then,
existence of a God.
no,
If you listen to me, then we can actually have this conversation, but you have to stop talking long enough to hear what I'm going to say, and then we can move forward. And I'm happy to let you answer the question. I'll give you lots of time. So you are jumping
right,
to the conclusion that there is a God holding people accountable to this
right,
objective standard. Where is your evidence of that?
because you live as though that's true. It's even.
Do I? Because a lot of people don't.
Well, do
Strongly
you live
disagree.
with more restraints? Do you two live with more restraints?
I no,
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna say that actually, because we haven't decided what we agree
Okay.
on is moral or not. I'm asking
Well,
you again.
I know.
How do you know?
I
How
know
do you
because you
know?
because you live
How do you
because you
know?
live
Can I
according
finish
to
my
God's
sentence? Because
laws.
you don't know what I'm asking. No, plenty of people don't. There are people out there that are doing horrific
And they're
things to other
objectively
people
wrong.
every day.
And they're objectively wrong.
How do
And they're
you know?
objectively wrong.
How do you know that they're
Because
going to be
it's
held accountable? Let
because
me
God's
finish
law is
talking. I'm
hold
going
on
to
a second.
mute you.
Because God
I'm going to mute you.
okay.
How do you know that they're going to be held accountable by some objective source someday?
Because God has revealed as such. But he's also revealed his law. So that's why.
God has revealed as such. Can you actually answer my question? How do you know
Yeah.
that those people are
Because
going to
God has
be
revealed himself.
objectively?
Dude, you gotta let her finish a sentence.
You don't, if you want to have a chance to answer, you have to know what you're even answering. How do you know that somebody is going to be held accountable by an objective source?
Well, because God has revealed himself to say that he will hold all of men accountable for what they've done and what they've said and how they live.
Wait, how
So
did
that's
God
how I know.
reveal that? How did God reveal that? Are you saying the Bible says that and that's how you know this?
Yes. But also because
Okay,
your life
what if
is in
there's
line with God's law, whether or not you believe that.
I have a follow-up
Because you
question
live
there,
with
Eve, if
more
you'll allow it.
restraints.
yeah, go for
Because
it,
you
please.
because
Yeah.
all
How
right.
it's very
Thank you.
similar to the last call. Elijah,
Okay.
how do you then grapple with the other people in other religions who believe that their God has revealed their morality to them, the same exact thing you're
Right.
saying, and their
Right.
morality is incongruent with yours?
Right. I would say though, because God is the only true living God, is by default wrong. Now they would say the same thing about me, and there's room for that discussion.
Right.
But
So how do
they
you
even
tell the
then that
difference?
That is the
well
discussion that
because
we're having right now.
because
Yes.
everyone lives in accordance to God's law. That's how I know that. Whether or not they do
How,
it
okay.
consistently is a
What
different
is
story.
God's
And if you
law?
talked
Because
and if you
if God's
talk to
law
a
is to kill
Muslim or a
people,
Hindu, I'm sorry, I
wait,
didn't mean to cut you off. If you talk to a Muslim or a Hindu, they're going to say the
Right.
same thing, that you follow the
Right.
law of their gods. And it's evident, just plain on the ground, that you are in the waves of their religion, and therefore their objective morality from their gods is true. So you can't just say, God said so. And it just seems like, my
Yeah,
God, you have to have some actual objective evidence that we can talk about here. How are you
right.
actually
Well,
putting in the work to determine what you're saying
right.
is true and what a Muslim is saying is not?
Right. Well, I would say this based on reading Muhammad's own words. In his own words, he said the Quran is a continual
how do you,
revelation process. Hold on a second. Let me finish. You asked me for the same courtesy, so I asked for it in
which
return.
you didn't give me and you
Muhammad
still
said,
haven't done, but continue.
no,
It's also our
okay.
show.
Muhammad said that the Quran is the continual revelatory process of the Bible, and he conceded that the Bible was true, even though he rejected the deity of Christ. So Islam, by its definition, is borrowing from the Christian worldview that it rejects. So if you're borrowing from my worldview while rejecting the God that gives it, your worldview isn't consistent. I don't need Islam. Islam needs me. So because of that, Christianity is true, even if Islam isn't, and especially since Islam is not. But that being
So
said,
you
though, my
mischaracterized Islam
original
there
question,
just a little bit. I just want to throw out,
I
you
mean, that's what he
mischaracterized
said.
Islam.
That's what he has said.
Islam,
No, well, they do
Islam
reject the
said
deity of Christ.
Bible is, yes, Islam says that the Bible is corrupted. that has been translated by men to serve their interests, that kings and popes and whatever have changed it and tweaked it and reinterpreted it, and that the Quran is the exact same story told appropriately and properly for the very last time. And therefore, it's completely unchanging and inerrant, and it's going to say the exact same way forever. That's the major claim of Islam. And so, why?
Well, they
if
don't
that's
agree with
the
them.
case, do
They
you
don't agree
not
with Muhammad
think
then.
why
Let
do
him
you think
finish.
that Eve should not be wrapped up in a cloth bag at this moment? Because that's the moral standard for this other religion, which says that it comes straight from God.
Well, because God has made it known that she's an image bearer and that no harm should be brought to her because she has dignity and respect.
So
that's
because
intrinsic
you
to
have
my
a different
worldview.
religion, this religion is therefore
There-
wrong, is where we're at.
Yes, truth by definition is exclusive. That's the truth. If I say Forrest is a unicorn,
By
truth, he
definition,
can't be a human. Am I wrong in that assessment?
you're saying truth is exclusive to Christianity? What are you saying truth is exclusive to?
No. I'm saying truth by definition has to exclude something else. So yes, by saying that Christianity is true, I'm by definition saying that all other worldviews are by default wrong.
Cool.
It sounds
So
like what
with-
you're actually saying.
Which is this?
Which
is good.
It doesn't sound like you're saying
that
Christianity is true, therefore other religions is wrong. It sounds like you're saying, I believe in Christianity, therefore other religions are wrong. That's what it's coming across as.
Whether or not
I
believe Christianity,
Yep.
whether or not I believe Christianity is true does not negate whether it's true or not. It's true objectively.
Prove that it's
but
true.
The question that I ask,
If it's
I'm saying-
objectively true,
and
then
then
give us evidence that it's true. What is the
Because
evidence
you-
that Christianity
because-
is true?
because you presuppose its validity in your own worldview. See?
No, I don't.
That's why. Yes, you do.
You're the only one
making more. One
presupposing.
second. You make
So the only one
you make moral
presupposing your
judgment.
view.
But you make moral judgments though, based upon what? And you said yourself. And I'm saying, why should I believe your moral judgment? Because you say so.
No, so even what I'm trying to get across to you, Elijah, is even if what you just said was true, which it super isn't, by the way, but even if that was the case, that wouldn't be evidence. She asked you for evidence for the truth of Christianity, and you said because you presuppose Christianity. Right. It doesn't matter what I presuppose. Right. I don't presuppose Christianity or anything. But
yes, you do.
No, it doesn't.
Because you obey.
How many people have to
you
believe
get on this
something
stage,
for it to be true? How many people have to believe something
anything
to be true? Exactly. So whether or not we presuppose anything, whether or not we presuppose anything has nothing to do with objective truth.
Right. Well, you're presupposing that Christianity is true by the way that you make moral judgments on the show.
That's not true, and that doesn't matter.
Thankfully, we do not follow Christianity's standards for morality.
You're right.
We follow significantly better standards for morality than the Bible.
Based on what? Based on what, Miss Eve?
Based on what's harming other people or not.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time, please.
Based on what is harming other people. So, for example, no one that hosts this show is owning.
Okay.
Nobody that hosts this show is owning other people as slaves. So we're already being more moral. This is back to the other call that we had. So where is your source of objectivity, and how do you know if you're if you're following this objective truth or not? Where is it? Where is the evidence that anybody's being held accountable?
You're saying it's wrong. You're saying that it's wrong to own slaves, and I'm saying based upon what? And you say, well, because it's wrong to harm other people.
It's going against the consent of. It's going against the consent of another human being. So as soon as you go against the consent of another human being, you have crossed the line of morality.
But you're presupposing that humans have dignity and worth based upon what?
No, I'm not presupposing it. I'm saying I like that, and I want to go with it because it makes the world better, and I want humanity to exist.
Okay, so what? You're stardust floating on a rock in Earth. Who cares about your moral standards? You already admitted it's arbitrary. Okay, so then why should I listen to your moral standard at all?
You don't have to, and that's fine. You're going to be held accountable to the law, hopefully, But that's the
Yes.
whole
right?
point.
I
Can you
mean,
show me
I mean,
where anybody is being
not
held to an objective standard? Elijah, show me one example of a person experiencing actual consequences from an objective source when it comes to their moral decisions. Do you have
right.
evidence of a person being held
Well, we see
accountable
that
by a God?
people, yes, by the fact that we
Where?
put people in prison when they break God's law. That's why.
So do you
When
think
people murder,
everyone that does something immoral receives a consequence
will
for
be held
it?
accountable. If
Will
not
be
now,
or
they
are.
will.
You can't. Well, one day Forrest is going to be a unicorn too, and you just have to
Yeah,
believe me
one
because I
day.
said it.
I mean, but that, hold a second, but you're going against the laws of logic to assert something that you know won't be true. So saying that
Elijah,
person will
I'm
be punished
asking
is
you
not
to tell
illogical.
me how you know that this is true, and you have given 0 answers. How do you know that
Because
someone is going to be held?
appealing to my worldview. You keep appealing to my worldview. You build
No,
your
I'm
own
not.
about
I
mine.
haven't at all.
Yes, you
I
are.
haven't at all. And
Yes, you have.
you are not
Yes, you
answering the
have.
question. I need you to answer
I
the
did answer your
question.
question. I did answer your
How do you
question. You said
know
it's
that
wrong to do
somebody
this.
is going
I
to
said
be
why.
held? Do you want
And
to
you
hear
keep
my
saying because I
question
don't
so
like
you can
it.
answer it, or we can
You
let
keep
you
saying,
go?
I'll
Because
do
so
one
far
more.
you're not. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'll do one more and then I'm good because like I would love to actually hear what you're saying and that's not going to happen with this call. Elijah, I'll give you one more thing just for fun. As I said a minute ago, I have a strong nihilistic philosophy. I don't think that I'm important.
okay,
I don't think that life is important. I don't think the earth is important. I think that if this
right.
entire planet were completely wiped out in the most horrific way possible and there is no earth or anything on it anymore, it doesn't mean absolute jack shit for the entire universe. I don't have
I would
any
agree.
Right.
yes, I have no objective standard of value,
So,
anything like that
so
for this
then,
planet.
why
So
do you get
following that
angry?
up, you're
Why do
gonna
you get
have to let me finish the fucking question, dude.
angry?
So
Then why do you
following
get
that up,
angry when people talk bad
nope,
about your
I'm gonna
worldview?
go ahead and mute you now because you cannot
Thank you.
control yourself for 5 fucking seconds. It's unbelievable. The only reason I didn't mute you when Eve was talking, I wanted you to be able to do it yourself if you wanted to. I didn't want to control what you were doing, but like I'm
Thanks.
not gonna fucking tolerate it at this point. So I don't think that there's any objective morality at all because I don't think morality is a real thing. It's made up by us. Same things with justice and liberty and
I
freedom.
agree.
These are concepts that we have developed to try to paint a better picture of the reality that we live in. The country that we live in, the nations that we put together, the borders that we draw are all made up. They're all bullshit. And we just decided this is the kind of society that we want to live in. Some of it was religiously motivated, a lot of it wasn't. And as we talked about in the last call, if you lived your life based on what the Bible says, you'd be thrown in jail really quick. And we're very happy about that. So here we have this society. And Eve is asking you, how do you know, like, what's going to happen if somebody breaks God's law? What's going to happen? And you're saying, oh, they'll be punished. The punishment and the laws and the courts and the jails and all of this is all made up. It's all made by humans. It's all bullshit as well. So when we talk about objective morality, when we talk about us building our own moralities, I've picked a standard, which is health and well-being of conscious thinking creatures. I think that's pretty important. I know what suffering feels like, and I don't want anybody else to feel that way. Good old-fashioned golden rule shit. Treat people how they want to be treated. Only I take it a little bit further, and I think treating people how they want to be treated is pretty cool. I don't believe that I'm going to be punished infinitely. I might go to jail, but I don't think I'm going to be punished in any afterlife if I'm a bad person. I don't think I'm going to be rewarded if I'm a good person. I have no consequence or reward system whatsoever. What I have is an application of basic moral principles that are universal. It's wrong to hurt somebody and murder somebody because you are violating their consent. You're taking away their autonomy. You are imposing your will upon them. Unless
And
I'm
if
defending
you don't want
myself or
yours
someone
taken
else.
away, yeah, if you don't want your
Yes.
consent taken away, then we respect that. And that's why we've reached these agreements and we've made up this
Yes.
moral code of society.
That's
It's
some
really not
kindergarten level shit. It shouldn't be
exactly.
hard. Yes. So we know that we live around other conscious thinking people and we want to do right by them. I'm not going to get a cookie because I did it. I'm not going to get hit because I didn't. I just don't want to be a dick. That's my morality. Don't be a dick as much as I can. And I make mistakes and I apologize for those mistakes and I try to do better every day and I'm a better person because of it. That's where I get my morality from. It's you could say it's subjective, sure. but that doesn't make it worse. In fact, it's better because it means that it's something that's argued and reasoned and discussed, and I talk to other people and I get their opinions and we build a better world together, rather than looking at some Iron Age sex manual that says it's okay to own people as farming equipment and saying, well, if you squint your eyes really hard and leave out the shit parts, there's some stuff about love in there, and that's pretty nice. So I'm going to bring you back on, and I'm going to give you one more chance just to like have an actual conversation with us without talking over us a bunch. That's what we've been trying to get across to you for 27 fucking minutes now, or 21, I think. Just our morality is, you could argue, subjective. We're not borrowing from anything from Christianity, though. Christianity is unnecessary for everything that I just said. Some of it may be involved in Christianity, but I promise you, Christianity didn't come first. We weren't all raping and murdering each other until randomly 2,000 years ago, a fucking Jewish carpenter got nailed to a piece of wood, and we were all like, well, I guess we better stop killing people now. That didn't happen. We were fine for hundreds of thousands of years before it, and we're fine now for 2,000 years after it. Please grapple with that. I will bring you back now.
Well,
what do you think about what we just said?
Are you still talking?
I mean, you just said, you said that justice and morality and all these things are merely constructs, and then you're turning around and saying, but it's wrong to do this, it's wrong to do that. I'm going, so what? You've admitted yourself you're a nihilist who doesn't even care about his own safety, his own worldview. So why should I build my foundation upon a worldview of someone? Yes, it is. You said I have no self-importance. I don't care what happens to other people. I don't care what happens to Earth. If that's the case, then why do you live?
You didn't say that at all.
It wouldn't matter. I didn't say I don't care. I said it doesn't objectively matter. I said that there's no such thing as objective good or evil, but I personally care about the health because I know what it feels like to suffer, and I don't want anybody else to feel that way. I just said this.
So who died and made you the arbiter of what's good and what's evil, Forrest?
Nobody. I'm not.
So then your worldview
I just said that I don't care. All I have said is I don't want people to be hurting. That doesn't make me any arbiter of morality. That's my thought process that I'm putting out into the world. And it just so happens that most of the world agrees, and the ones who don't agree are psychopaths. And so we all have this kind of inherent assistance. Yes. And then we as a society say, we don't care about your standard, you don't get to kill people, and we throw you in jail. That's how society works.
Elijah, can I just ask, let's sum all this up. I have one last question.
In China, they don't believe that. In North Korea, they don't believe that. In Iran,
we don't need to talk about people in other countries and what they believe. I have a question for you. Let's pretend that I have broken all of the 10 Commandments. And no one is ever going to find out. They're going to have no idea. Now convince me why I should convince me that he does, and what your evidence is that someday this is going to come back on. Because you're claiming there's an objective. Let me finish. I'm muting you. You're claiming that there's an objective standard that is going to hold me accountable someday. What is your evidence that that is true? Ready, convince me so that I stop breaking all the 10 Commandments. Going to unmute you now. If you're still talking, I think I'm done.
Oh, well, because you live with more restraint. That's why you.
I don't. Apparently, I just broke all of the 10 Commandments. So who's going to hold me accountable, and where's your evidence that they're going to do so? I did. I'm telling you that I just broke all of the 10 Commandments.
Right now?
It's a hypothetical, dude.
It's a hypothetical, and I'm asking you for an answer. Where is your evidence that someday I will be held accountable for this?
Because God has revealed his law to be such in his word.
No, he hasn't, because here I am doing it. Here I am breaking all the 10 Commandments. Show me where I'm going to be held accountable.
Righteousness.
This is so dishonest.
It doesn't matter whether or not you believe.
This is.
It doesn't matter what you believe. Are you good? You will be held accountable.
I'm so good. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Elijah, it's been frustrating for 30 minutes. We're going to move on. Just dude,
be honest, and then we can have a conversation. Like, answer the fucking questions, or maybe even listen to the fucking questions.
It's exactly like the last caller. Just like if you give a point, if you say something, just complete sidetrack to something else, or just, it's true because it's true, because I said it's true. Why didn't you hear me? I said it was true. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's so
if you have
frustrating.
to start lying to answer our questions, then yeah, let's move on to people who maybe are going to not answer completely honestly, but they're at least not going to lie over and over again. And they maybe let us finish our sentences too.
Good gravy, y'all.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmy Snow. I'm the executive producer of The Line. And at night, I sneak into Matt Dillahunty's house and I trade his cereals for other cereals. He comes out and he's like, wait, these are cereals I buy, but I swear I had different cereals. Anyway, would you like to support this channel or any specific show? You can do so over on Patreon or in channel memberships. There are special tiers for special shows or for the channel at large, and it helps us expand programming as well as hopefully very soon launch it in podcast form. Now, also, if you'd like to support, you can like, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment or a super thanks, which is a special highlighted comment that you pay for. Those are fun. And, screw the algorithm, go check out something over here, I suppose. Boy, I hope I can still put those icons there, because if I can't, this is going to look really stupid. I'm going to go buy some Cocoa Puffs and switch out Matt's mini wheats now.